Hi, my name is Julian Price from WebSpree Digital. I'm about to be on the Online Prosperity Show, where I will share exactly why I love SEO, search engine optimization, and how it's important to you for organic growth and creating the right foundation.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got a guest who's not just helping businesses keep up with the digital landscape, but he's also showing them how to thrive in it. Now, Julian, how are you doing, my man?
I'm very well, Prosper, very well indeed. Very happy to be here, and I love to sort of put the voice out there to one, help you promote yourself, and also to support you and your friends and businesses.
Absolutely. Well, the pleasure is all mine. I mean, we come from a long line of, digital marketers that actually started this whole thing. And we've been in each other's spaces, through various networks. And now, having to sit in front of you and to hear your story, man, it's an honor. So I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us today.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, for those that are meeting Julian for the very first time, let me just take you from under that digital rock you have been on, because Julian is the man that's actually behind WebSpree Digital. That's a digital marketing agency based on the Gold Coast with a passion for turning websites into lead generating machines. What he precisely does is helps people to stop random acts of marketing. And Julian's expertise lies in solving three critical problems for businesses, which is more leads, a better ROI on marketing, and creating an exceptional online presence for customers. But here's a fun fact. Did you actually know that BX was nominated as a finalist for the Business Excellence Award by BX Networking Group? This is something that's not easy to accomplish because there's a lot of competition in this space. And that's just a huge nod to the impact that they're making in their community. And I'm actually thrilled to have Julian here so he can share how he's turning this online chaos into calm for small to medium businesses. And I think by the end of this episode, you not only know how to work with Julian, but why you should actually want to turn your online presence into profit. So let's dive right in. Now, Julian, I mean, obviously I could go on and talk about things that I know nothing about. Tell us about your journey and, how WebSpree Digital came to be.
Well, firstly, I've always been in sales. And when it did come to sales, it wasn't about reading and mirroring Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins or any of these salespeople. It was more about listening and understanding. And, the listening part came from hours of, and don't take this the wrong way, but hours of being in pubs and listening to old people's stories about, their lives and their businesses. And I realized that, one, I love singing. I came from a singing background and loved entertaining, and I wanted to work with people. I loved having people around me. So someone said to me, look, you'd be really good at sales. And I gave it a go. I was working on the phone doing sales to even selling carpet. And when I was 17, 18, I didn't have a car and I was carrying these samples from door to door and basically selling carpet to people. Um, but let's take it from singing to sales to people. And I'd always heard these clinical way of selling and pushing what people didn't want or people didn't need. And I thought I wasn't going to be like that. I wanted to make sure that I thought, well, hold on, the easiest sell is to actually sell something that people do need, and let it be their idea. So obviously, as you can see, I don't sell a lot of hair products, but but when it came from selling on the phone and selling face to face, I realized years later that people, you're going to need to understand the digital world. You needed to know how to use a computer. Okay. And I thought, well, okay, so what's happening online? How are people selling? And you didn't always have the opportunity to go and knock on someone's door and meet them. Okay, so how were they doing it? And I realized that, with the internet and, people needed still, they had problems, but they needed solutions. And where did they go and search? Okay. And also with everybody being so busy, they needed to have access to all this information, okay, to make a decision quickly. Right. So I looked and I thought, well, looking at all these businesses and looking at all these websites and even getting to today where I thought, well, hold on, people don't need me to build a website for them. They can do that themselves. People don't need me to write a social post for them. They can do that themselves. What do they need? They needed to make sure that they supported themselves in a space where they couldn't shake hands. Okay, so I thought, okay, no, I'm not a salesperson. I'm an online profile strategist. Okay. And what does that mean? It means that I urge every business owner to search for the solution they offer online and see what they look like. Okay. So that way you can understand what your customer or prospect is going to see and how easy it is for them to communicate with you. Okay.
Mm.
So, one, are you making it easy for a customer to call you? Are you someone who really doesn't want to take calls? So, why have you got a phone number in the middle of your website? Are you giving them choices? Right? Think about when, and I'm jumping all over the place because all these things are coming to my head, but think about when you walk into a shop. Now, there are some of us out there who, when we walk into a shop, we like it to be easy. We want that salesperson to come to us so that we can actually get the help and say, look, I'm looking for XYZ. How can I find it? Okay, make that process. And there it is. Thank you. I'll pay for it. I'll go. But then there are others who want to walk in and they want to take the time to investigate. They want to browse because they're not sure what they want. Okay, but they want the decision to be theirs. Because if that salesperson comes to them and says, you know what, Prosper, this jacket will look lovely on you. And you might go, well, no, no, I will make the decision on whether or not that jacket will look lovely on me. Okay, so you want that choice. Then there are those who say, you know what, I don't have time to look around. I don't really even want to talk to someone. I just want to walk in. That's what I want. Go pay for it and leave. Okay. So the same thing happens online. I believe that people should have the choice of one, I don't want to read everything about Prosper's business. I'd like to call him. I'd like to ask him whether or not he can help me. Now, you may turn around and say, well, you know what, Julian, I can't help you. You shouldn't feel bad about that because what you've done is you've done me a favor. You've saved me a lot of time. I can now go elsewhere to try and find a solution. Or you say, you know what? Here's the choices of all the things that I can provide for you. Okay. Have a look, make a choice. And then if you still want to talk to me, you can. Okay. Or, you know what? I don't have time at the moment. I'll just email a question and then just leave it at that and then move away. Okay, so with your online profile, there should be all the choices, not one or the other, all of them, so that the customer, because what happens is you're not missing out on opportunities.
Mm.
Okay, because yeah, you're taking care of all the different people's needs. And that's why, as I said, that's where I came from, from someone walking the streets selling and moving with our times, and now putting myself in a space where it's not about me and what I can do for you. It's about getting you to think about what you can do for yourself to help yourself move forward and get in front of more people by giving them more choices.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us through that journey, Julian. You see, while you're talking, I had this vision of this guy carrying carpets and you're going door to door and you have to actually knock with your leg and then say, hey guys, I'm here to deliver carpets. But obviously you had just samples,
Yeah, they
that
had
you
all
would
these big heavy samples. Yeah, yeah.
but that alone would have really gotten you to really be really good at sales, because with door-to-door knocking, you first of all have to have the door open and then have somebody understand you in 3 seconds or less that they want to continue with this conversation. And obviously that's what our websites also should present, because when somebody comes from Google, they have that 3 second of just looking at the website. Does it say who you are, what it is that you say you are and do, and should I continue scrolling through? Now, would that be, sort of the resemblance of what you are doing and what you're now transferring, for people to actually get an understanding of how the digital landscape has sort of evolved?
Yes, because out of all those deliverables that a digital marketing agency can provide, our main focus is search engine optimization. Okay. And with search engine optimization, now I've heard horror stories of people that are paying businesses, and I won't ever put down another business to get your business. But when you're paying a business to actually help you look the best you can online, okay, then it's not about just doing SEO, all right? Because if you think about it, search engine optimization is by getting the best for your business online, okay, when people are searching, letting Google understand what you do, where you do it, how you do it, and then how to connect with you. So when we're doing SEO, we're sort of getting all these people to look and go to your website. Now, doing that is great. But what we do at WebSpree Digital is we will actually look at where these people are going to end up. So if your website hasn't got the right call to actions, doesn't have the phone number in the right place or email, we will actually fix that. Okay, because at the end of the day, if you look good, we look good. Right? So, don't invite people to your home if you're planning on selling it, okay, make sure it's ready to be sold straight away. Don't sort of think, well, okay, I'm sure it's going to take a while to build that traffic. Okay. What you've got to do is think to yourself, well, hold on, let's say within 24 hours somebody finds you and then goes to your website. Okay. Is it helping? Is it supporting the work the marketing companies are doing for you? All right. So, yeah. So, when we do the SEO, we'll say, okay, included in that, we'll look after the website and make any adjustments it needs so that you're going to get a better return on investment and get more value out of what you're doing. Because at the end of it, the main focus should be organic lead generation.
Absolutely. I quite like that, because and from what you're saying, if you really look at it, you're literally saying SEO should basically just be simply educating others. You're educating others on who you are, what it is that you do, and how they can operate and work with you. And what the sort of next logical step would be, and also in the process educating Google to present you when somebody types into Google and it looks for the certain things that they might be searching, which your website or your business provides. Now, the first thing that you've mentioned on your website is there's a lot of searches that happen on the internet daily, billions, so to
Yeah.
speak, on any given day. But apparently 15% of those are new. So if we've optimized our website for what we think people are going to be asking, how do we then capture that new user who Google hasn't even figured out what that search was going to be in the first place?
Okay, so what the good thing about what you said then is the Google. Okay, so if we take it back a step, so Google is nothing but a library. Now, years ago, when I used to go to the library, I would pull out a drawer and get this library card, and the card had all the information regarding the author and the book that I was searching for and where to find it. Okay, so the more information on that card led me to walk straight in, go to the right aisle, find my book. Okay, so what Google does is Google is great for finding things. The only reason that you will be penalized as a business is if you're making Google look bad. Okay, so when people say to me, oh, but this business is much bigger than me, so, Google are going to rank them higher. No, Google rank a business higher who are helping them. Because if I'm looking for Prosper and I can't find it, 9 times out of 10, people don't say, that damn Prosper, I can't find him on the internet. They say, bloody Google. They will blame the search engine that they're using. Okay, so the best way is the more information you give, the easier it is for Google say, hold on, I'm looking for this problem. I've got this problem. I'm looking for this solution. Google says, hold on, we know that Prosper delivers this, and this, all the things that Julian is looking for. Let's connect them. Okay. So that's why I say to you, search for the solution that you offer and see how you stand out. Because what it really means is fill in that library card of information that Google need to support you. Okay. And that's the only reason why you will rank underneath others is
You're back.
can you hear me, Prosper?
Yes, now you're back.
Yes. It just froze for a while. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is but I had gotten that answer that I wanted. So let me just
Okay.
continue from there. So, Julian, from what you're saying Google lied to us because the assumption that we have is when you type in, like a service, plumber near me or doctor near me, somebody at Google is running around looking for that information. But you're saying that information actually comes from the websites of small to medium businesses.
Yes. Yes. Think about it. If you go to realestate.com, if the person hasn't listed their property and everything about their property, you're never going to find it.
That is true.
So,
That is
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
All right. So, in your experience, what are some of the most critical mistakes that businesses, especially the small ones, are making when it actually comes to building their online presence?
They've on the 80 to 20 rule, they focus 80% of their leads are paid for by paying for ads. Okay, so what they're doing is they're spending money on paid ads to get people's attention. They're forcing that attention as opposed to focusing on what it needs to happen organically. So,
Mm.
yeah. So, I mean, businesses, you'll get some that say, look, I don't need to do anything with my website because I get a lot of word of mouth work. Okay. Well, what if that disappears? Or I'll give you another example. So if you're getting a great return and all your advertising, all your marketing spend is on Google Ads, what happens if you have to take that money and put it into some new machinery or a new vehicle for the business? The ads stop. So if you focus on putting your marketing spend, a percentage of it on your organic traction, if you do have to take money and buy a new motor vehicle or new machinery, they don't stop. Okay.
Mm.
So that's what I like to get people to think about.
I like that because at the end of the day, so many people don't quite understand, you have to pay to play. And the moment you stop paying, you literally have not created an asset within your business, which you can then use later on. But I think the allure of leads is that instant gratification or that instant result that you start paying today, within a week or so, or within a couple of days you actually start having your phone ringing based on what it is that you are paying to be found for. And the other side that you're talking about needs a lot of creativity, needs a lot of patience, a lot of runway for that to happen. What role does creativity play in sort of standing out in this digital world, and how do you at WebSpree Digital inject this creativity into the web solutions that you bring out? Because so many people would just resort to paying because it's easier, it's cheaper, and I mean in terms of them having to come up with concepts that would then warrant the organic reach you're talking about.
Well, the thing is, and you said without them coming up with the concept, there's one thing that it reminds me of is that I had a client who said to me, Julian, I've been working with this company and, I went to them for leads. They gave them leads, but the problem was that that's all they asked for. They just said, I want leads. Prosper, I can go out there and get 1,000 people to call you. That means I've done my job. The fact that maybe 90% of them have no interest in what you have to deliver, that's
That's
not my fault. Okay. So, when it comes to what the customer can do is be more involved in getting the businesses that they work with, the marketing businesses, whatever, to understand what they want. When someone says to me, okay, I need more customers, what kind of customers? What is it in your business? Don't say that, okay, look, I offer all these services and I'm happy to help anyone. No. In your business, there's a certain area that actually, one, you really enjoy, and let's not be shy about this, that actually makes you money. Okay, so focus on that. The more you help yourself, the more you can then help others. Okay, but if you're saying, well, look, I sell products from $10 to $1,000, and you're selling lots of the $10,000 products, okay, then that's where you start to have a problem. Okay, so, rather than have everything displayed on your homepage, let's look at the main thing that you want to deliver. Okay, and then once they're there and they're looking for that solution, you're happy because it's giving you the resources to help more people. And also they're happy because then they can say, well, that's what I was looking for. That's what I found. Ah, they happen to help do other things as well.
So it's not just a matter of looking at pixels and analytics and everything else behind the scenes, right? It is a mindset, because if you really put yourself in the mindset of this is what I want and this is what it would look like when I've arrived, it makes it easy for the people that you're going to be bringing along the way to actually go for that. And I like that example of, if you just say you want leads is all you're going to get. And then if you're not going to be telling them what next, it's things of that nature. But you would understand this. I mean, as somebody who's been in, door-to-door selling, so many people never get the opportunity to say the next sentence. All right, you would knock the door and say, "Hey, we're selling carpets," and then the door gets smashed on you. So many people have not been offered that opportunity to actually then say, "Hey, this is what we've got," and things of that nature. Now, how are
Yeah.
you did mention you're helping people with that. What sort of specific ways are you utilizing to then go to the next stage of once the customer has arrived?
Okay. So, one, when you're knocking on that door, instead of trying to hide the fact that you're there to sell carpets, have the carpets in their face. Okay. So, if I turn around and knock on your door and I say, look, I am here trying to sell carpets. Are you in the need? Are you looking for new carpets at the moment? You're going to have a better conversation. If that person says no, you can then move on and you've actually gained more with regards to your time because you've left that rather than trying to fight this battle of selling someone who doesn't need carpet. They've got wooden floors. They don't need carpet. They've just spent loads of money on having those floors waxed and shined. Okay, then move on, but be clear of what you're there for in the first place. It's like people knocking on the door and saying, "I'm not here to sell you anything." Don't insult the person behind the door. You are. And people actually are getting to a stage, especially in the sales world. They've heard all the pitches, they've
Mm,
heard all the tricks, they've read all the books. So they're actually starting to appreciate someone who says, well, you know what? Yes, I'm here selling carpets. Is it of interest to you? And listen, maybe not now. Okay. So that's all I can say is that be transparent in what you're actually in the solution that you're trying to offer. Okay. And stop wasting yours and other people's time by trying to play all these tricks, trying to force yourself onto people.
absolutely. I quite like that because people like buying stuff, but they don't like being sold to. And obviously, if you're not upfront and you're just beating around the bush, you are absolutely,
The door will
wasting.
shut.
But I mean, obviously, with your expertise, I mean, obviously, you've been doing this for over 15 years, in the Gold Coast and things like that. Why small business? You have the capacity to actually work with bigger businesses out there that doing stuff in the world. Why small business for you, Julian?
Um, the business I worked with a company before where they were selling websites, initial websites for $10,000, $15,000. And I had people shut the door because they needed it, but they couldn't afford it. Okay. And so many pieces, so many businesses were actually prevented from moving and growing because they couldn't take the next step. They couldn't afford the proper resources and help they needed. Okay, so what I was saying was that, I wanted to be able to help businesses grow. And by looking at small to medium businesses, provide them with the things that they didn't even ask for, because a lot of times they don't know what to ask for. So when we build a website, we don't just build a website. We'll say, hold on, you need your Google My Business profile created. We need your social media connected. You don't have one, we need that created. Okay, so that while they're growing and they're getting to that next level, then yes, I can help them. Okay,
Mm.
so rather than sit here and say to you, oh, I'll help any business, okay, small to medium businesses are starting their journey and want to move forward and want to grow and need someone to support them to actually tell them the things that they actually don't know yet and be helped along. Not just, oh, you want a website? I'll build you a website. Thanks for your money. See you later.
Absolutely, because most people, even I mean, we run a digital agency as well. So many people come to us and say, oh my God, look, we've got a beautiful website. Why is it not converting? And you start thinking to yourself, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not all about looks, especially in this world. And sometimes I take them to, have you ever seen Warren Buffett's website? It's just
Yes.
a couple of lines and links, and but he's one of the richest people in the world. So it's not just about looks; they actually have to be converting as well. So with so many digital marketing options out there, it's really easy for these small to medium businesses to be distracted by
Yeah.
all these shiny objects and actually get overwhelmed. What sort of advice would you give to a business owner just that's trying to maybe prioritize their online marketing efforts?
Think about these three words: attract, nurture, and convert.
Right, I like that.
That's what they, yeah, those are the things that they need to think about, no matter how small a business, no matter how big a business. Because I've heard those same situations where people come and they say, I've got a website, nobody knows, no, I'm not getting anything from my website. And a lot of that goes back to what I said before. Um, if you haven't told the search engines what you do, where you are, and how to find you, they're not going to find you. Okay. And that's why we'll add those additions that are required. And as you do, when those people come to you with a website, I've got this website, I'm not getting anything from it. I'm not getting a return on investment. What you do is find those gaps and find those broken links, or sometimes where there are no links. And people are amazed that all of a sudden you've made this massive difference. And all you've really done is let other people know that this business exists.
I quite like that. I quite like that. And if people maybe I'm and Aring and wanting to know more a little bit about how to get started on this digital journey, what would be the best way to get a hold of you there, Julian?
I like the best one is one, and again, it's about making those choices. But one is they can email me or even just call me.
Absolutely. I'll be making sure that I put all those links in the show notes there so that people can actually start their journey with you. Now, Julian,
I'll put
when
my
we first
calendar link in. I'll give you my calendar link.
Absolutely. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Now, Julian, when we started the show, you introduced us to this young man who's carrying carpets. I mean, I'm adding that visual there by myself, and it's just going in there and and just going about it. There's a lot of motivation that would have been happening and inspiration that would have been happening because I don't know about you, but so many people would have been rejecting you and just saying, we're not in in the market for carpets and things like that. Is that something that you have now translated into creating this business as well, or have you now found your stride and you no longer need to worry about that?
Uh, I think because I've always been like dad brought us up when in Rome. Okay. So you know, because of again, hello,
Julian,
did you die again?
Yes, you're gonna have to start from when you say dad brought us up, because that's where I lost you. Sorry, man. I don't know. You there?
No, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, I'm here. Shall I go again?
Yes, just start off when you said dad brought us up, because I know you would have gone on. I don't know why we keep losing you there, man. You back?
I'm back, yeah. It
Oh,
just stopped and restarted.
oh, fantastic. All right. So you're about to say dad
Yes.
something. Yeah, if you can just start with that. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So Dad brought us up when in Rome. Okay. He believed that, you know, if you choose an environment, or in our case, when you choose a country, don't expect them to change to suit you. Uh, and, you know, it's incredible how mum was always, mum, she never stopped working right till the end. She was always working. And mum and dad, we moved into a place in the UK in central London where we were the only black family. Okay. And, this was not so much, it's nothing to do with race, but the fact that, no one would say anything to us. No one would say a word. And then let's say when mum passed, and this, I mean, before that, but when mum passed, just to show how things had changed, when they carried the coffin through, everybody came out of their house. So many people came out um, to see when mum passed and when dad passed. Not one person goes past our house without saying hello. And it was purely because of the way mum and dad went in Rome, and we didn't care about who you were, where you were from, or whatever. Mum would take money from somebody else if you needed money to give to you. Yeah,
Wow.
and we never went without. And every single person mum would meet, mum would say hello. Dad was the same, always a smile. And some people say to me, "How come you're always laughing?" I say, "Well, because, one, if there's some things in life you can change it. If you can't, then understand that, and the thing is, mum and dad, it's it's because of the way they connected with so many people, by never judging and being around people. That's, I suppose, why I went from into singing. Mum was always singing around the house. Dad always played different types of music, from the Stones to Sam Cooke to Aretha Franklin, yeah, to Rod Stewart. And I always said that people are like music. If you are someone who has a mixed taste in music, you usually have a mixed taste in people. And people who just have this one direction, one type of music, they usually only like that one type of person.
Absolutely.
And through my life, I'm 64 now, and I've found the same. It's so true.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that with us, because there are some people that literally when they identify with a genre of music, that's their hairstyle, that's their demeanor, and you literally can't even talk to them without them alluding to a favorite band or a later song from their favorite band and things of that nature. And it just really limits the scope of who you'll be able to speak to. And like you say, in business or door to door, you're knocking on various doors, different people, different religions, different everything else, and you need to be able to speak to the person who's been presented in front of you immediately in order for you to go to the next stage. And that just really showcases the kind of work that you're doing at WebSpree there. Thank you so much for sharing that story, because it really puts everything in perspective and things of
It's a
that
pleasure.
nature. Now, I mean, obviously, you've helped so many businesses already, especially in the Gold Coast. There, what's next? What can we expect with WebSpree Digital in terms of growth, impact, or moving forward? With the kind of work that you're doing.
I think it was getting to the understanding over the last year that yes, digital marketing covers so many different areas, and looking at that and realizing that the one that really needs to be focused on, and this is what Web3 Digital are focusing on, is that search engine optimization, making it easier, having it so that more and more businesses are being actually found without without having to focus on so many paid, just organic lead traction. And that's what Web3 Digital want to focus on.
Oh,
Okay.
fantastic.
I want to be able to, if I can help you, if I can tell you something, Prosper, that you go and implement, okay. No, you may not have done business with me, but it's helped you. I'm still part of the solution. And that's why I'm happy to have, people call me and ask me questions. They may not do business with me, but if the answer has helped them, then I'm happy.
Absolutely. Now, can you imagine if that business goes on and maybe is the frontier in the cure for cancer, or some sort of thing that you would have done and helped them? You would have, done your own little part in making this world a better place. So I can't thank you enough for the work that you're doing and everything else that you have shared with us on the call today. I mean, especially the fact that you had these humble beginnings, but it all stems from your humanness in actually connecting and relating to other human beings. So thank you for going on this journey with us today.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. As I said, when I said about when mum and dad passed, my brothers, my sister, myself, I said, we're their legacy.
Mhm.
And, it's all about making that stand for count for something.
Absolutely. And I viscerally believe in this life, we're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. And obviously, for us to be able to live that life, we need to have learned from those that have gone past. And I think you, sir, have left us a few breadcrumbs to follow through, because it's not about looks, or it's not about just showing up online and paying and just getting that instant gratification. It's actually creating for and relating to the audience so you can attract them, nurture them, and eventually convert them into
Mm.
people that pay, stay, and refer. Now, that is just remarkable in and of itself. It's a masterclass in the making. So thank you so much, Julian.
No, my pleasure. Thanks, Prosper.
Absolutely. And for our viewers, if you actually found this episode helpful, which I'm sure you absolutely did, make sure you either rewatch this or send this to an entrepreneur that is struggling to actually find their footing online. And as Julian has said, it's probably something that they're missing out on in terms of attracting the right kind of people, nurturing them up until they good to buy, and actually then converting them into people that actually pay, stay, and refer. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more interviews like this that will actually help you create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. Until next time, keep building your own online prosperity. Bye for now.